Hey guys, welcome back. So what we're going to do in this video is get the action for these buttons working. So you remember in video info controls right here, we specified that the action of this button is going to be like video. So it's going to call a JavaScript function called like video, and it's going to pass in these two parameters. So obviously we haven't created this function yet, so what we're going to do is create that in this video. Now since it's a JavaScript function, of course we're going to create a JavaScript file. So let's do that now. Create a new file, and then let's save this, not in the classes folder, we're going to save it in the assets folder, and then a JS. We have this JS folder for JavaScript. And you remember right at the start of the course we created this common actions JavaScript file as well, which takes care of the showing and hiding of the navigation bar. What we're going to do is a similar sort of thing, but we're going to create a video player actions file. So let's call this video player actions.js. Now since this isn't a class, I'm not using an uppercase letter for the start of it, I'm using a lowercase letter, so I'm just going to save that in here. So video player actions.js. So here's our JavaScript file. Great. Now what we're going to do is just create this function. So back in video info controls.php, like I said, we call this like video function. Now let's create that function then. So in here, all we need to do is say function like video. Okay, and then put the two parameters in, and the two parameters were, in this case, it was this, which remember I told you briefly that when you have an event, this refers to the object that the event was called on. So if the event is on button press, then this will refer to the button that was pressed. So we have this, which is the button, and then we also have the video ID as well. So go back to here, and we'll just call the parameters button, and then finally video ID, like that. And that's it, great. Now what we're going to do before we write all this function, let's just alert button was pressed, like that. And what this will do is it will show an alert when the button's pressed. So just to make sure this function works and it's being called, let's just do this for now. And then we'll come back and add the proper code for this function later. So there's one more thing we need to do until we should see this work, and that's to go back to watch.php. So our watch.php file, we need to include this JavaScript file. Just like we include these PHP files, we need to do the same with the JavaScript file, because although we have the function written now, we can't actually call it because we need to include this on the page. Now we can do this right here underneath the PHP block. So underneath the opening PHP section, what we're going to do is add the JavaScript file here. Now we could add in the header file, of course, the header.php file, and that would mean this JavaScript file is available everywhere. But since this JavaScript file is going to be for the video player controls, like and dislike, we don't need this everywhere. We only need it on this page. So since we only need it on this page, it makes sense to only add it on this page instead of adding it to the header file, which means it will be everywhere. So let's just add it here. We're going to write a script tag like this. So I'll just write a script to press tag, and this is our script tag where you can have some JavaScript. And then in the opening tag, we need to say src equals like this, and this is the link to the JavaScript file. Now we say the JavaScript file in the assets folder /js/ and then the name of the file was video player actions, like this, and that should be good. So if I refresh the page now, it should work, because like I said before, this is before I've refreshed the page, so this won't work yet. I need to refresh the page in order to see it work. But if I press the like button, you'll see it calls this function, which of course isn't created yet, so we see an error. But when I refresh the page now, obviously the file should be there. So when we press this, we should see the alert, the pop-up with the button has been pressed. So I press that now, and we see the button was pressed, so we know it's worked. So great. Obviously that's not the correct code for the function though, so what we're going to do is actually finish writing that code and just make a start and put some actual content in here.